Every time I mention a battle axe in prison, people go crazy, which is fair because when I saw the battle axe in prison, I about went crazy. And I was looking at the disassembled pieces under somebody's mattress, not watching somebody rear it back like they were going to take my head off. If that was the case, I think I would calmly stick my head between my legs and just kiss my ass goodbye. Although, if I could get in the cell, it'd be really hard for him to swing because he couldn't reach far back. The cell is really narrow. That's actually one of the reasons that most of the knives inside are poking knives and not slashing knives because you want to be able to use them in a small space if people are around or if you're in a cell and you're whatever. And if you have to swing way back or way forward, it's going to be a lot harder to use. This is what the grates look like on the wall for the heating system. He managed to get one of these and rip it off. It's about a foot by a foot, or maybe a little bit more, maybe like 18 inches by 18 inches. I can't remember exactly. But then he sharpened up two sides, so the edges and the points were really sharp. Then he took newspaper, and if you wet newspaper, you rolled up, you let it dry, you wet it, you let it dry. It'll get really, really hard. It's almost like petrified stone or petrified wood. So he then had a club that was about the length of his arm that he could lash this to. So he had a battle axe. Now, like I said, most knives were poking knives, and people used a lot of office equipment. So these hanging folders were used a lot, because you could take that, you could sharpen it down, and you could have a little stick poke. People would also rip pieces of the fence off, because you could sharpen the edge up. Those tended to be not as long, and they tended to bend too much. The longer, more sturdy knives, or almost swords, tended to come off things like this. This is a drawer rail. This is fairly long, and it's fairly substantial. This one actually looks kind of flimsy. The ones we had inside, because they were old system or old stuff from, back in the 80s, they were really, really heavy duty. And you could sharpen it up, you could put an edge on it, you could poke somebody with it. They were just really scary things. And that is why I go talk to kids in the juvenile center. That's why I go talk at schools, because I encourage kids to make different decisions in their life. And if they need help, ask for it. If they don't know what they need to ask help for, ask help to figure out what they need help for. Because we don't. Sometimes we end up in those situations, we end up in those places, and I don't want to see anybody in prison that doesn't have to be there.